Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in today's video, sponsored by the makers of Call of Dragons, we're going to review the Moonbear, and I'll share with you exactly how I think you should spec it out to be the highest damage possible. And this is a pet designed for the new infantry heroes, although it could work with cavalry as well. So use the timestamps in the description of this video. You can jump to whichever part you're most interested in. Let's start with what is this pet really all about? And that, of course, we learned from the talent skill. Now, the talent skill, I think, has a couple errors that maybe have been corrected since they first were launched. It does look like the range here is now updated, but big picture, this will do diffuse damage to 3 enemy legions within range, including your current target, and it deals 100% more damage when cast by an infantry legion. Now, the amount of damage you deal is the combination of your 2 heroes' damage factor in the legion that you've brought them with. Now, this is kind of interesting because the more skill damage you're dealing, the more you'll do with your Moon Rage ability on your Moonbear. So this is all about the skill damage factor synergy. And you really can push the power of this. Now, good news, because we have this very clear direction for this pet, I will argue that the pet skills you put on here should all enhance the damage of the pet. This pet is all about damage. So unlike other pets where I would say, oh, we should make a hero build maybe, where you enhance what the hero is doing. Like, for example, the Shadow Phaedrake is a perfect choice for doing something like that because it is making it so that you deal more damage to the target legion. So this pet's all about enhancing your hero and how much your army can do. This pet is all about doing ridiculous amounts of damage. So let's make a build that does exactly that. I'm going to place on screen the entire build, but let me explain it real quick. First and foremost, let's get a look at the end of season skill. I suppose now we don't call it an end of season skill. You can technically get it at the start of the season, but the KVK related reward you can get. It is Advanced Moon Rage. This makes it so you have a 70% chance to deal damage to enemy legions hit by Moon Rage. That's the talent skill. And it does factor influenced by your agility. So you're going to be doing damage based on agility. So we already know strength and agility are going to be really important for this pet, but we're basically just amping up the AoE damage, which is crazy. And while we're on the topic of giving ourselves lots of ways to deal damage, 2 skills that I think that are just very obvious for any infantry in the open field are going to be Counter-Strike, making it so that when you're hit with a normal attack, you have a 50% chance to deal counterattack damage to an attacker. And also the KVK reward, it is going to be Advanced Counter-Strike. These feel to me like they're very critical. This is an agility-based skill, and this is going to do really solid damage factor, 100% chance of triggering against every single target where you get an extra counterattack. So you could have this trigger many times per turn, which is a part of what makes this so good in the field. And even if you're using the new infantry in a garrison or a rally, and you are taking a multi-rally, okay, in the garrison, let's say, this is going to be really good because you're going to be hitting all the rallies that are hitting you or any swarmers that are hitting you. Like, you should just wreck everybody. So Counter-Strike and Advanced Counter-Strike seem like an important part of the package for an anti-swarm, anti-multi-rally situation. From here, though, now that we've got 3 abilities that deal damage, we've got Advanced Counter-Strike dealing skill damage. We've picked up the end of season skill, which I'm now just scrolling past over and over, Advanced Moon Rage, which is another source of skill damage. This is not enhancing your Moon Rage, by the way. Well, not technically, I think this is another damage source. Also, we've got your Moon Rage damage. So 3 different forms of pet skill damage. There's a very, very obvious package of skills that we now need to go and look at. And that includes, of course, Angry Roar. So we've got another agility-based way to increase the crit chance of your pet's damage. I really like Fatal Bite, so that when you crit, you do more crit damage. And I also really like Blood Roar. Blood Roar, I don't actually have one of these available, but here it is. It's a luck-based skill. It's giving you even more crit rate. So on this particular pet, and I can show you their attributes, we're looking at 21% chance to crit over here, plus another 25% chance to crit over here. So you can push like 50% chance to crit with your pet skills. And then just boom, increase the damage of those crits. The crit damage gets elevated by like 50%. That is disgusting. And of course, one other skill you can add in here is Tooth and Claw. Tooth and Claw, if you had all these skill slots, is going to make it so your War Pet physical skill damage dealt is enhanced. Well, guess what? You have 3 sources of War Pet physical skill damage. Should be very, very powerful, right? Now, you will notice there's a couple skills I did not take. The first skill I did not take is Intense Moon Rage. Now, this looks very good. Actually is a lot of damage boost here. Even just at 2 stars, we're looking at a 40% boost to my Moon Rage damage. But alternatively, here we're looking at a 16% boost to all 3 sources of my skill damage, which feels to me like that probably gets a better result. This, again, will depend a little bit on your pet. You could absolutely make an argument here for Intense Moon Rage as being one of the skills you prioritize. And there are 2 other skills that I did not take that are probably less controversial. One of those skills is Fierce Attack. I did not take Fierce Attack because I felt like you could eke out more damage other ways. And I believe that is actually true because you already have 3 sources of skill damage on this pet. I think that just enhancing those with the Angry Roar, Fatal Bite, Tooth and Claw, all that kind of stuff, is just better. And the other one that you could take, but I think is not worth taking, is Intense Counter-Strike, which would be very good, reducing the pet damage that you take. It's not bad, but it's not on plan. Given that you already have 3 sources of pet skill damage, let's just enhance the heck out of those, rather than like add this thing that reduces the pet skill damage you take. It's not that reducing the pet skill damage you take is bad, and if you had a high enough endurance score relative to the other things, you might decide you want to do it to just get more tanky. It's really kind of up to you. My suspicion is that if you're going to use this for garrisoning, you would probably want to stay away from this and just completely crank on your damage dealt with your other skills. For open field, you could make a much stronger argument for saying, like, I'd rather just reduce the damage I take. So there are 3 other skill options, as I mentioned, that are very good, that you could swap in. And the 2 skills I would consider swapping out, depending on your attributes, would be your Tooth and Claw, and it would be your Blood Roar. That's your luck-based skill, Blood Roar. So this means, by the way, that we've moved in on 3 strength-based skills and 3 agility-based skills. So the 2 most important attributes for your pet would be strength, followed by agility. Then we'd be looking at 1 endurance skill and 1 luck skill. Again, you could move these around. If you had a super high endurance score, you might decide to prioritize other skills and bring those endurance scores and those endurance skills into the pet. So like if for some reason this pet had like a mid agility score, but an absolutely maxed endurance score, you might decide to pull in more endurance stuff. And like if you had a really bad luck score and a super high endurance score, right? Like maybe you might decide to take Blood Roar out. Okay, that is the skill over here that is enhancing your crit chance. And instead, you know, you might decide, hey, I'm going to bring in the endurance ability. I got to scroll up for it now. Where are you? Here it is. Intense Moon Rage, right? It all depends on the attributes of your pet. Now, there's a lot of nuance to this, as I mentioned, with the attributes of your pet. And I played around with a site I'll link in the description that led me to believe, if the calculations are correct, that the exact order that I've placed these skills, or at least the first 6 skills, I don't know their exact order, but the last 2 skills I've kind of ordered correctly, where I think Tooth and Claw is probably going to end up being slightly more valuable than the Blood Roar, I think. But again, it's going to depend on the specific attributes of your pet. And that's how I'd build a Moonbear, honestly. I re-rolled probably 600 potions worth to get this particular bear. And I do have an 8-slot bear option, but I think this ends up being worse. Even though it does have a higher luck score and luck is relevant, I'm losing endurance, but most importantly, I'm losing a very meaningful amount of agility. I do gain a little bit of strength, but I think it's probably not worth. But my recommendation, and what I think you should probably do too, is once you've got like a situation like this, where it's like, well, I got a pretty decent 7-slot pet, maybe I could take the 8-slot pet, rather than keep re-rolling and just decide and keep re-rolling, I'm just going to get another Moonbear and re-roll on that one. And in a worst case, I've got 2 potential Moonbears I could use, and all I've wasted is one 1-star Moon Rage skill, which in the long run is not going to be all that important to me. So I went through a shocking amount of legendaries that like didn't make the cut, and then were incremental upgrades before I got to this point, and then I got this upgrade opportunity, and now is when I'm like, okay, I should just be a little patient here, and I should just re-roll on another bear. And if I'm being patient, I should wait until at least I have a 0-star talent skill on that Moonbear before I start re-rolling it. And I got 1,378 of these things. So I got, 1/3 of my regenerations down, and, a little more than 2/3 to go. So I still can do some damage here. We'll see. If you want to see what the final outcome is, consider subscribing. I'll be talking about the infantry heroes and probably some of the following videos. There's a lot more I want to learn about them and the way that they work. But if you were looking for a sneaky way to sort of get a peek at them, you can just go in over here. This is kind of neat. And you go to your settings, you go to your emojis, you scroll on down, you select the hero. There's Mogro. You hit go. I mean, he's not in the regular listing of heroes, but you can view all his skills. So I'll cover that in another video. Until next time, you have fun, smash your enemies, check the card in the end screen for more information related to this update. You want to see what I did with my epic heroes, which I think everybody should do with their epic heroes, go watch the video right over here. It's a good one.